Hello everyone! Welcome to another time-lapse video. Today I would like to present you with the project Waves. This project is a result of the collaboration between myself and the build team ElysiumFire. I would like to show you the process of creating this organic in the middle of this build. Let's get started! So to begin, I'm using Voxel Sniper to create some balls. I want to get the general torso shape. The line in the middle was created by the project director. It is showing me the height that my Poseidon needs to be. The top of the orange line is actually world height, so that's the highest I can go. I use the erode brushes, blend ball, as well as some more different size balls in the brushes to create some limbs, some general shoulder lengths and hip lengths, and a rough torso length. Then using the blend ball to kind of get some preliminary muscles in there, and I also have a head marked out just so I can visualize it a little better. This stage is all about getting the basics in place so that we can build off of that slowly, and it'll make the future of our building a lot easier. As we spin around here, you can see that I've got a lot of preliminary muscles in place. I'm also using the move command to move the build up, down, wherever I need it to get the torso to be proportioned correctly. It's really important that I get the proportions correct really early on before I add any of the detailing and muscle that goes into this build. Once I'm sort of happy with that, I'm ready to add a head, which is simply just two spheres put together with blend ball and then pasted onto the neck. It takes a few tries for me to get the right head shape and head position in place, but I eventually figure it out and blend in the neck. The head on this body does look slightly smaller. However, this Poseidon is very muscular, and so to add to that illusion a little bit more, I did the head slightly smaller so that he would look like his muscles were much bigger proportionally. Once that is ready, I'm ready to actually add in a lot of that muscle bulk. So I'm using some smaller spheres to mark out where the muscles would be and then blending that together. Eventually, I'll go over it by hand to really get a nice muscle shape in place. Once I'm happy with that, I'm then going to add in the rim of his tail, color that differently, and then work on some of those finer details, like for example the hands. This hand on top is going to be holding a trident, so I put a line in place so that I can better position the fingers. Then, for the other hand, I want it to look like he is controlling the waves. In order to allude to this, I give it sort of a strong position, really flexing his muscles, and he is going to be holding some particles that will resemble some waves. Once that's done, it's time to refine the muscles and get all of the final details in place for the coloring. We want to smooth out all of those fingers and get all of those muscles completely smooth so that we're ready for the shading. Then the tail is going to go to a dark prismarine, his body is going to be a pale, sickly almost color to go with the underwater theme, and we're going to use some birch wood to allude to the fact that there are muscles and more shape even when there is maybe less. This is going to really help, and it's how I use my coloring to help assist with the muscles. Then it's time for the hair. For the hair, we're going with some gray wool. I'm just using the curve command to get it in place. I always struggle with hair, but I think it turned out alright in the end. Then I do some final shading with some darker grays. Once that's done, we can move on to the Trident, which I built on a flat, straight line for much easier building. Then I rotated it into place and refined it a little bit in his hand. Once this is done, our Poseidon is finished. We just want to interact with the rest of the build now. So ElysiumFire put in their ships, and our project leader marked out some tentacles for me to build. This is going to allow my organic to interact with their ships and have the scene have a lot more life to it. So as you can see here, this is what it looks like at sort of the stage where we're all coming together. Now, it's time to work on the tentacles. For this, we're going to use pretty much the same technique as with the body. I'm using some gold balls and just marking it along these patterns that have been marked out. I do the 3 longer ones first, and the 2 that are going to be really interacting with the ship, because it's important to really get these right. Then, once that's done, I mark out some other nice curvy ones. I try to get a story for each one. Like maybe this one is lashing back because it got hurt by a ship. This one over here is grabbing the ship that's just in front of it, but it just hasn't touched it yet. And the other one in the back is getting ready to strike. I think these were super fun to build, and they just add so much to the entire scene. Very atmospheric. Once the shapes are all in, it's time to smooth out. I do this one in the front first so that I can be sure of the shape and coloring that I want instead of doing them all at the same time and making a mistake. So I go with some dark prismarine on the top, some lighter prismarine on the bottom, and then some sandstone and endstone tentacles. I line this with glazed terracotta. Once I know that I'm happy with that, we can do the rest of them. So I smooth all of them out all at the same time, and then begin on the coloring of each one. The smoothing did take a long time because I did it all by hand, but this definitely gave the best results. Once smoothed, it's time to color the rest of the tentacles. First, I replace the entire tentacles with the dark prismarine, and then I use the regular prismarine on a brush to get the inside of the tentacle. I think this also really helps to define the shape. Once all the prismarine is in place, it's time to work on those suckers. Going up each and every tentacle, I place the suckers and try to give them a little bit of depth. The final touch to this build is going to be the waves, which allow the Poseidon to interact with the terrain even more. Once that's done, the build is complete. Thank you so much for watching.